Hey. Oh, let me get my notes. And this book. Don't mind me, cause yes, I did. I take my glasses. This arm is actually completely broken. My daughter pulled the screw out, but I still need to see. So here we are. And for the longest when I was younger, I used to wonder like, why would they put tape on their glasses? Like because they need them and they're broken. So it happens. But today is our RockTruth Cafe Live. So we're still kind of getting settled in from the move. So I'm not really cooking. I'm not trying to cook today. But I might get in the kitchen for y'all on my vacation because I'm actually going to Nashville, not Nashville, Knoxville, um, a cabin for my cousin's birthday. So I will probably just pop on and go live while I make a dinner for us. I already have some on the menu. I think it might include lamb chops. That's gonna be my only hint for y'all. Okay. And so today we're going to get into some of the basic essentials of cooking, getting in your kitchen, getting your pantry together. So the main thing is like what are some staples, some good things to have on a regular basis in your kitchen. So let's say if the world did shut down again for a day because we actually did get snowed in, like it was real bad and everything was closed. So yeah. And we didn't have a refrigerator at the time, but we were still okay because we had a bunch of frozen food in the deep freezer. So aside from actual frozen food, these are some things that I would say are like kind of must haves on a regular basis, like just to make sure that you have access to stuff that you can make either on the fly, something to make real quick. Hey, Mary. And we got a Facebook user from Brooklyn. Hey, okay. I see New York in the building. And so I I actually still have most of the stuff, like even though we like basically had to clear out most of the food in our kitchen when we moved, I still have a lot of this stuff that's on the list because a lot of it is like non-perishable. So that's why it's a good thing to keep some handy. And you can keep it handy because it doesn't really expire, especially if you store it properly. So I'm gonna start with a couple of my favorite kitchen appliances. So like other than the stove, obviously like the stove and the refrigerator, like those are like normal kitchen appliance staples. But I have come to rely very heavily on my air fryer. So my air fryer, I have a big one, and I actually got it on Amazon. And it was not that expensive. I think I paid 160 for it, maybe, but it's the big one, and you can rotisserie a whole chicken in it. So that's how big it is, and it has the rotisserie setting where you can put the basket in there. You can get nice, evenly crisp and cooked wings and stuff like that. So, and it also has like the little roller cage where you can pop popcorn in it. You can make like little bites, bite type snacks and stuff like that. And the cups to make like cupcakes, or I use them to make little like veggie fritters. That's when I made veggie fritters. You can look back at some of the old videos. I think that's probably like one of the earlier recipes I did. So it will probably be closer to like the beginning of last year when we first started the show. And yeah, so the air fryer is everything for me. I don't fry anything on the stove anymore because of that. And so with air fryers, the main thing about them is that they basically help you still fry food, but with a whole lot less oil. So the fact that you have your food completely submerged in oil when you fry it, it soaks up a lot of the oil. And so we don't notice it because it's usually fresh and it's hot, it's got the steam, it's juicy, all of that stuff. But a lot of that is the oil that it was fried in. So like the chicken, not just the skin. So when you be like, oh yeah, I fry my chicken and it's skinless. That's fine. The skin has its own, carbs and fat and stuff associated with it. That's fine. But once you fry it, the meat actually absorbs a lot, like it soaks in a lot of that oil as well. So when you're air frying it, you spray it only on the outer layer, and then a lot of that ends up cooking off in the hot air convection. The situation, the hot air that's blowing on there tends to make most of that kind of evaporate off or drip down into the little drip pan in there. So that's like the big health key, unlocking there is that air fryer, because it really does make a big difference, especially if you like me, like you like fried foods. Like I love like onion rings, I like fried like fries, I like stuff like that. I love the crispy fried chicken, all of that. So that will definitely help make hey Auntie Shirley, that would definitely make a lot of your meals a lot easier to cook too, because it cooks a lot faster in the air fryer as well. So if you're one of those people who you don't have a whole lot of time to cook stuff, but you don't really want to, kind of eat out or eat fast food, air fryer is a very great option, because you can kind of cut down on cook times. You can cut down on the grease and stuff used, and you can also bake stuff in it as well. So definitely something to consider getting if you don't already have one. A crock pot. Yes, crock pots are amazing. And the crock pot that I had when I was in Chicago, it was a crock pot I got from the dollar store. Like I literally got it from the dollar store. It was a little zebra print one. It was so cute. And it worked beautifully. So it doesn't have to be one of those big $100 expensive crock pots, even though eventually I'm gonna get one of those. It's like a big 6 quart like crock pot where you can make like a feed like 10 or 12 people out of it. Mostly because I want to be able to like put whole like chickens and stuff in them. You do? You got both of them? Yeah. Cause I mean, is and then like if you're doing stews, soups, like, and then it's a lot of stuff that you can make in a crock pot that's not just stew or soup. So definitely check out like crock pot recipe books and stuff. Because when I had my crock pot, it came with one. Did it come with one? I think it came with one. And then I also found one online, or I bought it or something. But I had like 2 or 3 different crock pot recipe books, and they were really good. And they had anything from breakfast to dessert that you can make in your crock pot. So do not underestimate the power of a good crock pot. And then, like I said, it doesn't have to be super expensive. So I did get mine at the dollar store. It was like $25. Like just take good care of it. And it'll take good care of you. And a Ninja blender. So that was a game changer for me as well. So I actually got my Ninja blender at Target, and it was on sale. It was like $250 like regular price or something, but I got it on sale, so I paid like $160. Yes, it was a very nice sale. So if you can catch one on sale, definitely do that. And then you can also order more attachments for it on the website. So I'm definitely going to look into getting a coffee grinder, because I started buying my coffee beans from Starbucks because I'm bougie like that now. So Folgers is okay, it's cool and everything, but I'm a Starbucks girl now. So so yes, I have my coffee beans, and I actually grind them myself. So the coffee does taste so much richer and so much fresher from fresh ground coffee. And so I've just been using like the little regular cup and blender thing on there, but they have an actual like coffee grinder for the Ninja blender to put on there, the attachment. So I will eventually invest in one of those. Hey, Ace Ventura _07. How you doing? So yeah, Ninja blender, definite game changer. So smoothie bowls, smoothies, sauces. I've been getting a lot more into sauces because of that. It blends it down very smoothly. Um Nut butters, you name it. If I want it blended together, I'm putting it in the Ninja. Okay. So it's definitely something that you definitely want to look into. If you don't already have a blender that you like or enjoy, I like Ninja for me. I mean, they have like the NutriBullet and all the other stuff. And so it's by personal preference, but get you a blender. And then most blenders do have like food processor type attachments and things too. So you can also kind of get other appliances out of your blender as well, so you can kind of save some room in your kitchen. Because I know not everybody got a big kitchen. Not everybody has like a lot of storage space or counter space to have all these appliances. So definitely, do what works for you. But the blender, I would highly recommend. And then the big one that's on my list, like I want one so bad, and they are pretty much expensive. They're kind of like a stove, but the big like tilt head KitchenAid blenders with the bowl and the mixers. Yes, I want one of those so bad. And I actually have a friend who said that he'll get it for me for my housewarming gift. So I'm excited. It's probably going to be refurbished, but I'm still excited because refurbished still has a warranty, so I'm good on that. And plus it's an amazing product. Like I've never heard anything bad about KitchenAid mixers ever. Like other than they're expensive. So like other than that, like, okay, well, I know I'm gonna get what I pay for with those. So I'm excited to get one of those. And those also have a lot of different attachments. They have like the pasta attachments where you can make your own pasta. Excited. Yes, that will be coming to one of the RockTruth Cafe'Live shows near you. Okay. Once I get one of those. And then it also has the food processor, meat grinders, thank you. I did a little something with my hair today. I usually just kind of let it be like on the other shows, like ding. But the mixer is definitely on that list, like right next to the Ninja blender. Like they're very multi-purpose. They make prep life a whole lot easier, especially when you're starting to eat cleaner. You're going to eat a whole lot more fresh fruits and vegetables, and those require a lot of prep on the front end. But if you go ahead and do it like how I do, I go shopping, I get it in bulk, I just get it all, and then I'll usually go ahead and prep it that day, and then bag everything up, freeze what I'm going to freeze, and put stuff to the side, or go ahead and meal prep with whatever I'm going to use that week. And so it's right. And so definitely having something that's going to make that easier for you also makes the option to eat cleaner a whole lot easier. Okay, especially if you're a busy person or you have a 2-year-old like I do, who's always in stuff and kind of like always, following and looking and doing and pulling stuff. You kind of have to have like 8 arms at one time. And so having these type of appliances can definitely make your life a whole lot easier when you have a lot going on. Now to get into the inside, the staples of your pantry that will never let you down. Okay, it's kind of like having a first aid kit, but for your kitchen. And so with that, what we have. So of course, for like flour. So flour, oh, and I didn't write cornmeal down here, but cornmeal. I keep flour and cornmeal on deck at all times. Like those are a must. And whatever flour you prefer to use, you can definitely get with that. Hey Joe. And like you can definitely do like wheat flour. Wheat flour is a little bit it's a little bit harder to cook with if you're not used to cooking with it, because it soaks up a whole lot more moisture because it's not as processed. So you have to make sure that if you are using a recipe that has all purpose or enriched, flour, the white flour in it, that you adjust for if you're using a different type of flour, especially if you're using the wheat or the less processed flours, because like I said, those soak up a whole lot more liquid, and so you'll end up with dry biscuits and such. So yeah. But I usually kind of have some that I keep in a smaller jar, and I'll just kind of mix it into my regular flour. So it's probably like 2 tablespoons worth, not a whole lot. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, because I tend to put other stuff in as well, and I don't use a whole lot of flour, because a lot of what I end up using tends to be like my Herbalife stuff, and then we have like a baked goods mix, so that you don't have to use as much flour either, and you still get more nutrients and protein as well. So They really snapped with that product. Like they just came out with, I want to say last year, the year before last, like the very end, like close to the end of the of 2019. Yes. Because it was just before the pandemic, I believe. And so yeah, that was oh hey Nikki, how you been? And so definitely get your flowers on, your powders, and cornmeal. Because I make my own cornbread. I don't really do the Jiffy mix anymore. Like it was cool, like back in the day. It does bring back some memories, but I make it from scratch now, and that kind of worked out a whole lot better. And plus, battering for different stuff, and like especially like my onion rings, because like I said, I love me some fried onion rings. So you got to have a little bit of cornmeal to add. It adds a little bit of a crisp to the onion ring as well. And then we have so your baking powder, baking soda. Obviously, if you want to do some baked goods, if you are into baking, like pastries and desserts and stuff like that, having a can of that in your pantry will last you a very long time. You buy it once, like the baking soda, you may have to replace unless you can get it in like unless you can put it in an airtight container after you open the box, because none of the containers that baking soda is sold in is resealable. So I usually, open it. I use it for the 1 or 2 times that I might need it, like back to back or whatever. And then I just put it in the fridge, and then that's the refrigerator, deodorizer for the rest of the month. But if you don't want to do that, you can definitely get like an airtight jar or something, a mason jar or something, to put your baking soda in, so that it keeps it fresh. Because any type of air smell, like the fact that it can deodorize your refrigerator, that's what it's soaking up. So if you're using your baking soda after it's been open and sitting in your cabinet, imagine what you're adding to your baked goods at that time. So definitely keep an eye on that, and read the boxes, because a lot of times the packaging tells you how to properly store and maintain the products after you've opened them. A lot of sauces and stuff say refrigerate after opening, and people don't, and then they wonder why it has like a strange taste, because yeah, over time it loses its integrity, and if you store it over a heat source, so it's got all of that stuff going on. And it does say on the packaging, do not store in over the stove, or keep in a cool, dry place, that type of stuff. Actually do it. And for me, I love my oils. So I have olive oil. I keep some olive oil. We get like the big jug of olive oil. And this is something crazy that I like found out probably like 6 years ago now, when I was like dead in the middle of my of really getting a jump start on my wellness journey. I was looking more into healthy oils, because I was the vegetable and canola oil kind of girl. So canola oil is not that bad. Vegetable oil is. So stay away from the vegetable oil. Canola oil is a lot better, like especially if you want to do like deep fries and stuff like that. That's okay. That's better than the vegetable oil. Vegetable oil will definitely have you out here messed up. And you can manage the canola oil inflammation and stuff like that if you have a mostly clean diet. So like I said, I'm not one of those people that's like it's all or nothing, 100%. And like I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing it to myself, so I don't do that to other people. But with the olive oil, if you put it in the refrigerator and it gets solid, it is not olive oil. Okay. So there's like a very big like bootleg olive oil situation going on. I guess like the mob or whatever like went from bootlegging liquor to bootlegging olive oil. So now a lot of their money comes from olive oil trades and things like that, because they have the back home, back in Italy and Sicily, they have those olive oil those olive vineyards and grape orchards and things like that. And so when they make the olive oil, they end up cutting it with a vegetable oil, which gets solid when it's cold. So olive oil will not get solid when it's cold, when it's in the refrigerator. So if you put your olive oil in the refrigerator, then you'll be able to see if it's real or not. And then you also want to look for their certification stamps on the back of or on the front label of certain brands. And so that specific certification will end up telling you if it's, if it's a good grade of olive oil as well. And so we keep the big gallon jug and we just pour it into an old Worcestershire bottle that we have, because it's glass and it's dark. So with your olive oil, you want to keep it in a dark place. You do not want it to be exposed to sunlight, because it will mess with the bonds in the oil, and it actually makes it where it's not as what is that? Where like the heat. I'm a scientist and I can't remember this word. It'll come to me later. But basically, how hot the temperature that you can use the oil at, it'll end up dropping, and then it flashes off, and then you get a lot more of the carcinogenic type compounds and and things that are not good for your, for your bloodstream, your cholesterol, and all that stuff. So, yeah, how you store your food matters. How you cook with your food matters. Olive oil, you do not want to fry with it, because it's not good for the heat. So that's why I try to avoid using olive oil, especially in my air fryer, because the air fryer is a lot hotter. I tend to have the temperature up a lot higher, and it flashes off, and you can kind of smell it in the air when it's blowing that stuff out. And so it's blowing those compounds out. So you want to use oils like coconut oil. Those are better for frying, because they have a much higher heat. That word, it'll come back to me. It probably won't. Like, not until like later I'll be laying in bed like, that's the word. It's not gonna come back to me right now, because I'm live. Yep, because that's just how words want to do me right now. So it's cool. But yeah, coconut oil, and like I said, I do keep some canola oil handy. And you can also mix the olive and the coconut oil together, because some people, they don't like that coconut oil taste, because coconut oil does have a taste to it. It tastes like coconuts. Coconuts are not sweet. So I don't know why people automatically assume that coconut oil will be sweet. Coconuts are not sweet. And they have like kind of like a salty, nutty taste. And that's what the oil tastes like. It tastes like coconut, because it's coconut oil. I don't know how else to explain that one. But you can kind of cut it with some olive oil, and that actually increases that heat resistance. It'll come to me. It increases that temperature threshold for the olive oil when you mix it with an oil that has a higher threshold for that flashing and the smoke off of the oil. But also I know people like avocado oil as well, sesame oil, sesame seed oil, and I think that's pretty much it. Like, you can use grapeseed oil too, like if you want, but just make sure you research the oils, because I found some very interesting things when I kind of started doing that. And that's how I found out about the flashing off and which oils are best to use for what, for like sauteing versus frying versus air frying and baking and things like that. And so definitely do your research, and then also look into how it affects you personally, your own body, because not everybody can eat the same thing. And so you'll end up probably messing yourself up trying to do what you see somebody else doing. So just make sure you pay attention to what your body is telling you or what you're putting into it, because it can be healthy, it could be something good, but it's not good for you. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. Then we have dry grains and legumes. So grains like your oats, the barley. I did do some barley bowls last year, so make sure you go check out that recipe for the barley bowls, because it was delicious. It was delicious, okay? And then it was very, very filling, like extremely filling. And the bag of barley that I had was like barely this big, like it fit like right there. That was the bag of barley. It was pearl barley, and you can like pre-start it, like soak it overnight, and that actually helps cut down the cook time. Otherwise, you're gonna be cooking it for a long time. It cooks like beans because it's whole grain, So it's the whole entire grain, the pearl barley, and then they have like different types of barley that's a little bit more processed or a little bit less. So just make sure, like I said, that you're paying attention to your body and that you know what it is you're trying to accomplish, and that kind of makes it easier for you to gauge what you know what route you want to go as far as the amount of processing for the foods that you buy to cook with. And then the what is this? So rices. I do not recommend brown rice because brown rice tends to have higher concentrations of arsenic in it, which is poisonous, very toxic to us. So I don't usually recommend brown rice. Like if it's in like a mix or something, then that's cool. But as far as like brown rice by itself and you just eating brown rice, like no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend that. Like wild rice is good. They have what's this brand is Arobio. So Arobio rice is good for risottos. And did I do it? I think I did a risotto on here once. But it's essentially stovetop, like non-boiled rice. It's like sauteed rice, essentially. But it makes the rice creamier because you're not like pouring off the starch and stuff that cooks out of the rice. You're actually kind of cooking it back onto the rice, so it makes it thicker and it gives it a kind of a creamier texture for like sauces and things like that you might want to add to it to give it some flavor, some pizzazz. And so the mix with the wild because I don't have a bucket up here right now, but we store like other stuff in the buckets now. The little plastic buckets that the rice comes in from Aldi, because they use the same type of bucket for the nuts, the rice, like all the grains. Like they sell the grains in like different types of little plastic buckets, and so there's one where it has like mixed rice. It's like the wild rice, long grain, jasmine. I think it's like a little bit of brown and it's a nice variety. Hey, oh, that might be who is that? Ty? Because I can't see. Make sure y'all allow StreamYard to see y'all name. Otherwise, I won't know who you are, especially on Facebook. So, but hey, and also oatmeal. I look, y'all gonna stop slandering oatmeal out here because every time I mention oatmeal, they'll be like, "Ugh, you eat that? Oh, I don't like that. It be all slimy and stuff." But that's because that's how you cook the oatmeal. Don't cook the oatmeal to be slimy, and it won't be slimy. Like oatmeal is delicious, okay, and is extremely nutritious. It is a very, very high nutritional content food. Like you can literally survive on bowls of oatmeal and nothing else. You don't need meat, nothing. Bowls of oatmeal and water. It will sustain you. Yes. Yes. Like that. I said it. That's how nutritious oatmeal is. And you out here slandering it. Don't do that. So I like to, because oatmeal is very versatile. So you can make like overnight oats. You can do oatmeal cookies, granola bars, trail mixes and things like that with like I like to do like honey toasted oats. So I'll do toasted oats where you just basically spread out the oatmeal in a pan on a flat like cookie sheet, and then you season it. So I put like some cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg. I might drizzle some honey over it, mix it together so it kind of clumps up, so you get like the little clumps, and then just a little pinch of salt, and sometimes like some cocoa powder. And then when you bake that up, it's delicious. It is so good. And it's really good as a topping. You can use that as a topping on like salads, on your oatmeal. So yes, you can top your oatmeal with oatmeal called granola. That's literally what granola is. It's just flavored baked oatmeal. And y'all out here slandering oatmeal. And I bet you eat granola. Bet y'all ate them little dry fried granola bars that they had in the flat 2-packs that they gave out in the school cafeteria. I don't know. I ate those. I definitely did eat those. But We also have, so I said, oh, lentils, red and green lentils. I do have a half a bag, because I did make some lentil soup. I have a half a bag of lentils in the cabinet as we speak, because lentils are also extremely high in nutritional content. They're very high in protein and fiber. So they are a super must have. They're very easy to make. They don't take long to cook, really. Depending on how like mushy you want them. Like if you're making like a soup, then you would cook them longer. But if you want them to kind of remain more intact, then you wouldn't cook them as long. You probably cook them about as long as you would rice. And then you can top salads with it, or you can have it like on the side of a salad to add more nutrition and more fiber to your salad. Kind of, spice things up a little bit. You can pair it with meats and things like that. Like you can cut up meat and put it in there and have it like a stew or a soup situation. So it's very versatile, and it does add a nice amount of nutritional body to whatever it is that you're eating. And is that it? Yep, so that's it for the dried grains and legumes. And pasta and noodles. So as I said before, I do even just want to like learn to make my own pasta. But so far, Barilla, I guess that's how you pronounce it. They have a protein pasta that has like higher protein. I think it's like almost like 10 grams of protein per serving. Like it's a nice amount of protein where it can make a big difference, especially if you're kind of like me, where you're trying to maintain your weight, but you don't want to like lose like a lot of muscle mass. So especially if you're very active and you're lifting a lot, then you would definitely want to look into getting more protein into your diet any way possible. So protein noodles are a great way to do that. And they taste good, because like who doesn't like a nice pasta or Alfredo or something like that with some okay. So that definitely makes oh hey Marcus. So that definitely can make a big difference in you hitting your protein factor and not hitting your protein factor. So your protein factor is how much protein that you need to take in a day to maintain your current muscle mass. And so if you are not hitting your protein factor, your body is going to get that protein from somewhere. And where is that? Your muscles. Your muscles are mainly protein. And so it will break down your muscle to make sure that all of your vital organs and functions are getting enough protein to do what they need to do. So you have to eat the protein in order to prevent that from happening, especially if you're trying to maintain your muscle mass. So with the and they also have red lentil noodles. So you can get lentil noodles, like if you're trying to cut back on your carbs, or like, your bread intake and stuff like that. They make noodles out of red lentils. Yes, they did that. So Barilla also has a set of like different like noodle shapes and stuff made from lentils. I thought that was pretty cool. And oh yeah, you can see it. And so where we at? Natural sweeteners. Yes. So the processed white sugar, leave it alone. The less you put into your diet, the less you take in, the better off you will be. The easier it will be to kick the sugar cane habit. Okay? Because with that comes diabetes. Like that's like the big one. And that one actually it messes with a whole host of body functions. So being pre-diabetic actually does have its own symptoms and system changes associated with it. But being full on type 2 diabetic, like that is a whole nother ball game. And it kills people. So it's a very serious condition, and it's a lot more common than it should be. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're watching your sugar intake. And the easiest way to do that is to eat natural sugars, because natural sugars tend to have like they're more complex. So the processed sugars are basically like straight glucose. Glucose is a very simple sugar. Our entire body runs on it very readily, which is why you can get a very steep sugar rush, and your blood sugar like spikes when you eat sugar cane, like when you eat the processed white sugar. And so with that, like you don't want to overdo it, and then plus you can make stuff too sweet too fast. So it's a lot harder to kind of I would say like measure that against your taste buds. And I also noticed the more sugar I cut out of my diet, the sweeter fruit tasted. And so the thing with fruit is fruit has fructose in it. Fructose is a complex sugar that is eventually broken down into glucose. And it is broken down in your mouth. Your saliva actually has enzymes that start breaking down sugars right in your mouth. And so the sweeter a fruit tastes to you, the more sensitive your taste buds are to that type of sugar. So when you cut out more glucose, then your taste buds will get more sensitive to other sugars. And then the natural stuff that's actually good for you will taste good. And that's kind of what I found like just along the way. It's not necessarily anything in particular that I mean that I like thought to research. It was just a physical finding for myself. And then I researched like, well, why is this happening? And then that's when I found out, oh, right, the difference in the sugars. So my go-to sugar, I actually have some. I just bought this yesterday. This is honey. So I bought this brand before, and I actually got the wrap. It's called Raps Blossom. What's that called? Raps Blossom honey. So basically, they named the honey based on the flower that the bees pollinated to get the nectar for the honey. And this one it's just blossom honey. So they probably went to a couple of different flowers. And then there's also another company that I had tried out. They have what they call monoculture honey, monoflower. But basically where they have it where the bees only get the nectar from only one type of flower to make the honey. So it has a lot more of a distinct kind of flavor to it. And that's pretty much how like honey gets its flavor. It's the type of flower that the bees use. And that's my favorite. So honey is 1-to-1. So for if you use a teaspoon of sugar, of white sugar, a teaspoon of honey matches the same amount of sugar, like grams of sugar per, whatever. But yeah, it's a very easy substitute. Maple syrup is also another one that I like to use because it has kind of it has that oaky kind of taste to it. So I like to use that, especially like for meats. It's really good at meat tenderizing. If you ever had like a maple syrup tenderized steak, then let me know because is definitely a different situation, and it makes the sauces thicker as well too. And then when you add like soy sauce or Worcestershire sauce and like a little bit of red wine or balsamic vinegar, the sugars in it cut some of that tanginess from those other type of seasonings or mixes. So I really like using maple syrup as well. But then, they have a host of stuff. Stevia, the what's that weird, it's like another like weird flour sweetener that's like even sweeter than stevia. And it's like you only need a little bit. It'll come to me. It probably won't. But if it does, I'll post it. I'll share it on one of the posts. But there's a long list of sweeteners, natural, mind you, natural sweeteners. That's what you want to go for, because natural sweeteners, like I said, tend to be complex sugars. They less likely to spike your blood sugar, and especially from natural sources like fruit. Fruit has fiber in it, so the fiber slows the uptake of the sugar into your body. Fruits tend to have a ton of sugar in them, but because you're eating them, you eat it slower, and then you also get the fiber from the fruit flesh. So, and that's why it's better to eat the fruit rather than drink fruit juice or like the juicing and stuff like that, because you could potentially end up putting a whole lot more fruit in the juicer to get the juice out than you would actually eat. And so that could still potentially cause a problem with your blood sugar if you're not cognizant of that. Vinegars, of course. Like I said, balsamic vinegar, You can use apple cider vinegar. I have both of those in my kitchen right now. And I've had my balsamic vinegar for a minute. I think that's the same one that I had when I first moved here. So it lasts. So it's like one of those things, like I said, it's one of those things that just lasts, just have it on hand and make sauces with it. You can make marinades with it. You can top salads with it, like just pour it on top of the salad because I like to put like cheese and nuts and I actually season my salad with like spices and herbs too. And so if you just throw a little bit of vinegar over it, like you've essentially like put a deconstructed salad dressing on top of your salad. And then where we at? Nuts, seeds, and dried fruits. This is my favorite part because these are my favorites to snack on. Like this, it's a pound of cashews. Got it at Aldi. They sell them in the plastic container, but the plastic container is like almost a whole nother $3. I was just like, and I was like, this is the same thing in a bag, but it's $3 cheaper. Hey, Miss Lay. And so nuts, seeds, and dried fruits are great for toppings. They're great to add as like to kind of accent and complement dishes as well. So I like to put like dried cranberries and stuff like on meats. So like if I'm like or like in the sauce for the meat or I prefer fresh cranberries because I like to make juices and I use like concentrates and things from when I boil down the cranberries, and I also make pastes and spreads and things with the cranberry. So I like fresh cranberries, but they're only in season in the winter months. So like around October, November, and I think now they're kind of out of season again. So I haven't really seen the fresh ones in the stores. But when I do, I buy them 3 and 4 bags at a time, and I bottle it up. And we'll be getting to the bottles and stuff too, because that's another staple in the pantry. So you want to have, and I actually have specific lists here. So we have chia seeds. I keep some of those extremely high in fiber, like 10 grams of fiber per like tablespoon or 2 tablespoon serving. A lot of fiber. Flaxseed, sunflower seeds, walnuts, almonds, Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are they're a lot harder to find than you would think, but they are jam-packed with like very specific nutrients that our body needs, and that's extremely good for our immune system as well. So I think they're one of the nuts that have the highest content of zinc, selenium, and magnesium, which are necessary compounds to keep our immune system strong and healthy. And peanuts, of course, cashews, pecans, nut butters. I know some people like go crazy over the nut butter, like, oh, I gotta have my Nutella. Not Nutella. Nutella is a nut butter, but it's Nutella. Like it's so high in sugar. Leave the Nutella where it's at. I know it tastes good, but don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. So you can definitely make your own nut butter and leave the sugar out, and it will be healthy. So you get some nuts and you get your Ninja blender and you can put some cocoa powder in there, like 1 or 2 teaspoons, and blend it up, and boom, you got nut butter that's not 30, 40 grams of sugar per spread. Like it's a ridiculously high amount of sugar in there. I forgot what it was, but when I looked, I was like, oh, this is why they say not Nutella. And of course, dried dates. So dates has kind of worked its way into my pantry because when I was making granola bars, dates were really good for the sweetener. So like I said, I like to use maple syrup and honey, but when I'm making granola bars, the dates do work better at keeping the bars together. They're a lot stickier, and they're really, really sweet. So dried dates, dried apricots, your raisins, dried cranberries and berries and stuff like that. Make sure you have a nice variety of stuff. Like if you want to, you can, if you don't want to have too much stuff or you don't have a whole lot of room for a lot of stuff, then just cycle through stuff. When you run out of your cranberries, put some raisins in there. When you run out of your raisins, put some dates in there. Like just keep cycling it through, but you want to keep some of those handy, because they are really high in fiber and they tend to be sweeter. So, like I said, but it's still a complex sugar, and it's also still associated with the fiber from the fruit that it's in. So you can get that sugar boost that you need to get more energy into your body and your brain, because your brain runs very readily on carbohydrates and glucose. So that's why when like you're studying, you tend to crave salty sweet snacks, because that's what your brain is using at the time when you're really using your brain. So with those, where are we at? Oh, goji berries. I don't think I've ever had like goji berries like just separate from something. I usually have it like in something else. But if you find some, let me know where you get them, because I definitely wouldn't mind having some of those on hand. And oh, and then it was also a note here about palm oil free nut butters. I'm gonna look into that, and I'm gonna give you more details about why that's a thing. But I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the inflammatory omega-6s that palm oils tend to be really, really high in. And then they also have uh, higher levels of what's the bad cholesterol, the HDLs. So you want to get or is it LDL? High density, low density. LDLs. LDLs are the bad ones, because the low density low density lipids, they don't float in the middle of your bloodstream as readily as the high density ones do, because they're not as heavy. So they tend to stick to the blood vessels, the walls of the blood vessels. So that's how I remember that. Hey, Auntie Janie. And then we have flavor boosters. So like the little things that count. Okay, this is where I call the little things that count. So you have your tomato paste would go into this section. So anything that you would think of like, oh yeah, let me add some of this because that's really gonna make it pop. Tomato paste is definitely one of them. Where we at? It's tamari is basically like a vegan version of soy sauce, but soy sauce does the same thing. And nutritional yeast, I actually do have some of that, and I made a sauce with that. Nutritional yeast is extremely nutritional. Like they really mean that. Like it's a non-active yeast, so it's not going to make stuff rise or anything like that. But it tends to have a cheesy flavor, so vegans tend to use that to make their vegan cheese because of the flavor it tends to have. But it's also extremely nutritious. It has a very wide profile of nutrients, especially essential nutrients, and it's really high in vitamin B12, so it's a good boost for your energy as well as your brain function. And then it also has a nice source of, I believe, omega-3s in there. I'll have to check the label again, but yeah, it's extremely like way more than almost 150% of your nutritional daily value, recommended value for a lot of essential nutrients. And then we have dried seaweed and dried mushrooms. Dried mushrooms, I pretty much only had the shiitake mushrooms that were dried, and they like shrivel up a lot, and then you just kind of soak them in some water to rehydrate them before you add them to your food or cook with them, unless you're putting in like a soup or stew or something, then the regular liquid that is in will end up rehydrating them. But if you're planning on like sauteing something with it, or adding it to, I actually had some in greens as well. That was really good. And seaweed is also extremely high in essential nutrients and vitamins, so you definitely want to give that a look see. And especially like if you're allergic to like freshwater fish or something like that, or it's different reasons why people don't eat fish. Seaweed has a lot of the same nutrients that fish does. I believe, with the exception of like the fatty acids, the omega-3s and 6s, but don't quote me on that. But seaweed is very healthy, and it's definitely like a good quick go-to snack for something like if they have like the seaweed chips and stuff like that. And then it's this thing called liquid smoke. Like it's literal actual smoke. Like they burnt the wood and then they captured the smoke in a bottle, and then as it cooled, the smoke turns into a liquid. So it's actual liquid smoke, and it gives your food like a barbecue taste to it. If even if you didn't barbecue it, I haven't found any yet, but I'll definitely keep it out. And if I find some, I'm gonna find a recipe to use it in, and I'm gonna let y'all know how that works out for me. Cans and jarred stuff. So I mostly only do like canned beans. I don't really do canned vegetables, mostly because I don't like the way they taste. They taste so bland and just so like dead, and it's like no. I do frozen vegetables, but canned vegetables no. So I keep some black beans, a single serving size of black beans, because I like to add it to my salads, or it's a nice quick way to, throw some rice together, just some rice and beans, like, and that's it. That's the meal. That's the meal. Rice and beans. You could have like a salad or something on the side, or like some broccoli or something to, get your vegetable or your green leafies in. But it's very easy to add beans to something to boost the protein content, boost the fiber content, and then beans are also a great prebiotic. So prebiotics is basically things that feed your biota, so your gut bacteria, your digestive bacteria that's in your digestive tract and your intestines. They eat the stuff from beans and they flourish, they thrive on that. So that's why when you eat beans, you tend to get gassy, because your bacteria is active, it's alive, it's getting rejuvenated, and that also helps protect it from whatever you might end up eating, or something like, you might be in a rush and you drive past the McDonald's and decide to get some of that mystery meat, and and now your stomach isn't quite agreeing with you, on that. So that helps protect your bacteria from those type of bad decisions. All right. Then for like baking stuff, oh yeah, also in cans and jars, olives. I love me some olives. Olives are very good for a lot of different reasons, and it's also good for your skin. So it helps with that glow. And I like green olives, but I also like black olives, mostly on my pizza, Italian like dishes. So I keep some of that handy, because they don't go bad. Like, not for real. Like, unless you're just like real unsanitary about, how you were digging in there, or if it's, whatever, if it's really time to get rid of them. But they don't really go bad. So it's something good that you can keep on hand. And chickpeas. Chickpeas are very versatile, very high in nutrients, and very high in protein and fiber. So that's also something good to keep on hand. And I usually keep like some condensed milk or some evaporated milk for the stuff that I like to bake, as well, because it tends to make things a little bit easier for me, especially if we didn't have like a whole lot of milk on hand. So I can kind of stretch what we do have a little bit easier with the canned milks and things like that. Then for like things that you would normally use in like baking. So cocoa powder. I kept a can of that, and cocoa powder goes a very long way. So I did splurge, and I got the Hershey's brand, got the name brand and all that. And it was slightly expensive. It was probably like $4 for an 8-ounce can of it. But trust me, you really will not use a whole lot of it, because it is very, very potent. So 1 or 2 teaspoons, and whatever it is that you're like baking or making or using it in, you're going to be able to taste the cocoa in it, because this is potent. So dark chocolate also, you want to aim for higher percentages of cocoa as opposed to the lower ones, because the lower ones tend to have more milk and sugar in it, and that increases the fat and calories and carbs, and the spiking your blood sugar and all that. So we're right back where we started, when you don't, have a nice, good quality dark chocolate. I like Ghirardelli. They're really good. They're like my favorite. Hey, Dukesville. And so with the dark chocolate, it's also a nice quick grab for like a brain boosting snack, because dark chocolate does have nutrients and minerals in it that's actually really good for your brain and cognition, your memory, so your alertness and things like that. So Don't count it out. It's a little bitter, but for a good reason. Coconut flakes or coconut shreds, those are also good for topping, especially for like baking stuff. Um, the go-tos for the extracts, vanilla extract, and then here's a little known secret, almond extract. Because a little bit of almond extract in a pound cake is actually what gives that. Even if you don't put it in the pound cake, if you put it in the icing for the pound cake, oh yes, the almond extract is the secret and it makes all the difference. All right. I have all the other extracts. So I got lemon, orange, mint. What else I got in there? Anise. I have all the extracts just in case. Just in case the two wasn't enough. I got all of them. But those two are definitely like the main go-tos because the vanilla extract can make sweet dishes taste a little bit sweeter without having to add so much more sugar to it. And then you put a little bit of cinnamon or something, or nutmeg, one of those type of spices, and you can trick yourself into thinking that it's sweeter than it really is. And it'll still be great for you because cinnamon is also a really good spice that's good for a host of different things. That we'll probably get into more detail about that in another show. But yeah. And so then we also have in the freezer. So frozen fruits are a must for me, especially because I have protein shakes daily. And so I put my frozen fruit in pretty much all of my shakes at some point in time. And it's also good for like things like overnight oats, or if you're making, like, I like to make sauces and stuff sometimes. So I'll use the frozen fruit to kind of cool my sauce down a little bit so I can eat it right away. Yeah, I know that's some bad stuff, but that's what that's what I like it for. In the like frozen pineapples and mangoes, they go really well with certain meats and stuff. So I like to use those in my sauces. Then you also have frozen vegetables too. Those are really good in a pinch, like when you're trying to do, especially for like asparagus, because I usually like to get the frozen vegetables for vegetables that tend to go bad very quickly in the refrigerator, like asparagus. Not broccoli so much, but I will do like frozen broccoli because it's a little bit easier to cook with because I don't have to prep it myself and cut the stems and do all of that. And also frozen peas, like green beans, because like I said, I do not like the canned. I do not like the canned vegetables, so I prefer them frozen. Superfood powders. Cocoa is actually a superfood for the various reasons that I told you about. It helps with that brain function. Superfood. Powder protein. So your protein powders can easily boost the protein content of anything you're eating very quickly without adding a whole lot of bulk to it. So keep some on hand. And if you're not sure what's a good protein powder, talk to your friendly neighborhood Herbalife distributor and we'll hook you up. Okay. Number one meal replacement in the world, Craig. Yes. All right. And then maca. Maca is great for hormone balancing. So I know people say like, oh, it's like aphrodisiac and increases libido. It does not do that directly. You know what increases libido? A healthy hormone system. Yes. So that's what it does. It actually balances your hormones, and that just happens to be one of the effects of it. Oh, hey, Kathy. How you been? Well, I'm not Catherine. I don't think I've ever called you Kathy. My sister's name is Kathy. That's why it came out like that. My bad. But yeah, the maca root is definitely a superfood. So keep that on hand, especially like if you're a woman and you have like really intense and severe like menstrual cycles. Maca root will definitely help with a lot of that, with alleviating a lot of your right. Right. And oh, that's why. No, oh, I forgot you're married now. That's your married name. My bad, Jasmine. No, I thought you was this girl I went to high school with named Catherine Cooper. Yeah. Threw me off. My bad. But the the maca root, definitely something good to have. And spirulina. So spirulina is a green, it's a green powder. It's very green. So if you've ever seen like the super green shakes and stuff, people have probably put spirulina in that with like some spinach and stuff like that. But spirulina is usually why it looks extremely bright green, because it's one of those ocean buddies that's really high in a lot of nutritional content, and it's great for pretty much everything. So yeah, I had some before, but I ran out and I haven't gotten a chance to order some more. Hey Jay. And so when we add these different things to what we're eating, like I said, it adds nutritional content very quickly without bulking things up and making it harder for you to consume stuff. Because sometimes it's like, this is just too much stuff to eat. When you really think about all the stuff that your body needs, it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm eating all day. So that helps with allowing you to have a break in between meals and things like that. And then we have the herbs and spices. You can't forget the herbs and spices, because we're not salt and pepper cooks out here, okay? All right. We like our food to taste like something fun. All right. So you definitely want to have some bay leaves on hand. Bay leaves are great for soups, stews, sauces, chili. Yeah. But you want to remember to take the leaf out. Bay leaves do not blend well into stuff, especially when you use the whole leaf. Oh, hey, Chris. Especially when you use the whole leaf. Bay leaves, they're very tough. They're rough. And if you end up biting down or chewing on one that didn't get pulled out of the super stew, you have gotten that unpleasant surprise. So bay leaves, use them whole, take them out before serving your dish. And then there's also, I believe they have like crushed or like ground bay leaves too. So you can also use that if you don't want to go through the trouble of picking through your dish or whatever to get the bay leaves out. The same with like rosemary. Fresh rosemary tends to taste a whole lot fresher to me. Like I prefer it, but you do have to take the rosemary leaves out. So you have to be careful about how you're cooking with it. Like, so if you stir it and the little needles fall off, then you're going to have little rosemary leaves all throughout your food that are tough and sharp and stabby and very, very potent with flavor. So, when you set your dish, you set it in the pan, and it's meant to kind of like steam or like stew into it, but you want to make sure that you can take those out intact. Another good tip for how to do that: wrap it in cheesecloth and tie it up with like a string or like a wire or some, food safe wire or something, and then drop it in there. And then that way, all you got to do is just find the little herb bag and pull it out, and you're done. You don't have weird chewy leaves all in your food, and you get all the flavor. And we have I like dill weed. Dill weed it sounds, I guess it tastes kind of how it sounds, but it's not tangy like how you think of dill pickles. Dill pickles are dill pickles because they put that herb in the vinegar when they ferment the cucumber. So that's how they make dill pickles, with the dill weed and the vinegar. But it does have a very nice, like, kind of almost minty kind of taste to it, but it's puts you in the mind a little bit more of like a softer rosemary. So it's not as strong as rosemary tastes, but it's not as minty like or sweet like how mint tastes. Is like in between there. It's a nice little middle ground, and that's why I like it. And parsley, basil, thyme, and oregano, or you can get like one of your nice little favorite blends of Italian seasoning, because all of those tend to be in there. And then chili powder. Add some heat to it, and chili powder is actually really good for your heart as well. It has a vasodilator in it, so it helps increase circulation. So if you're having circulation issues, get some spicy foods in your diet. Cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and the sticks. So the whole little cinnamon sticks, I actually use those to make my apple cider, and I started adding them to my ginger ale as well. And it's a nice spice to it, and it does almost give it like a sweet heat. I like that. And then cloves, ground and whole, for obvious reasons, because you know when you make things like, because my mom, she did like the whole ham, and that's what we really used the whole cloves for, was the ham. But whole cloves go really well in, yes, you guessed it, ciders. So I like to use those as opposed to the powder. Dried herbs are more potent than fresh herbs. So if you prefer to cook with fresh herbs, you'll have to use a whole lot more if you're making bigger dishes. So if you're making more personal servings, the fresher herbs are easier to use. And they do give a nice fresh flavor, but the dried herbs are more potent and they're easier to use in dishes that you're making for multiple servings. So if you're meal prepping, the dried ones are probably a more preferred option. And then curry powder. Do not underestimate the curry, because that's also another one that's got some sweet heat. And it kind of brings out the flavors, especially in meats, and then especially when you use it with a little bit of cumin. Cumin's on here too. Get some cumin. And coriander. So coriander is cilantro. So coriander is the seed that cilantro grows from. We are the only ones that call it cilantro. Everywhere else around the world calls it coriander. Coriander leaves is the cilantro leaves. It's the same thing. But that actually is a great detoxifier, and it helps with heavy metal detoxing from your kidneys and your liver, like cadmium and mercury and things like that. So these little herbs and spices have a very important role in your body. So it's very beneficial to find a way to use them, find a way to get them in your diet, in your food, in your recipes, because you're going to get the benefits from it regardless, other than, you know, just making your food taste delicious. So we also have mustard seeds. So I got the little fancy Dijon mustard that has like the little mustard seeds where you can see the seeds in it. But it tastes so much better to me. Like I haven't had like the French's, you know, in the little yellow squirt bottle mustard in years, and I don't miss it. I honestly don't miss it. So yeah, it's a very it makes sandwiches fancy, all of that stuff. So it's definitely something I recommend. Even if you don't get like separate mustard seeds, getting the Dijon mustard where it's like actual mustard seeds. And they do have ground mustard as well. Nutmeg, that's definitely one of my go-tos. I like to pair that with cinnamon often. Onion powder and garlic powder. Like I said, they tend to be more potent than the fresh herb. So I like to use those, like I say, especially in dishes where I'm making like bigger amounts, where cutting up a ton of onions would overrun the dish with onion, just so you can get that same amount of flavor in it. And smoked paprika, that was a life-changing spice there. So it's not as spicy as regular paprika. Hey Michi. It's not as spicy as regular paprika, but it's definitely like it adds like that. Like if I could guess how the liquid smoke tasted, that's kind of how I would say it tastes, like your food is barbecued or something, or like you cooked it in a smoker or something like that. But the smoked paprika is definitely a game changer. And especially like if you're making like a vegan or vegetarian dish, you won't even know there's no meat in it if you use some smoked paprika. Like seriously, get you some. Because I used to get the little bottle, but then I realized they was jipping me because that was like less than half of what the whole bottle was, and they was charging me like almost the same price as the big bottle. So I'm like, so I upgraded to the big bottle now. Okay. And then of course, ground ginger and ground turmeric, because those are your anti-inflammatories. They are also superfoods. It wasn't listed in the superfood section because it's a spice and it's something that I do use in like my cooking and stuff like regularly. And the did I add that? Oh, yep. And then the turmeric, like I actually have fresh as well, and I also have fresh ginger because that's what I use to make my ginger ale. And then you can also make what is that? The golden tea with the turmeric, where it's basically you make turmeric tea and you put milk and honey in it. but that tastes delicious as well. And is that sea salt and fresh ground black pepper. So I like to get the grinders for those, and Aldi has them. Yep, and they have it with the mixed peppercorns in there and make it look fancy. So you get the red pepper flakes, you get the little crushed black pepper, and you got some white pepper. Like it's literally just a mix of different peppercorns in there, and it gives you a nice little fancy flair. Oh, and also I say this every time I bring up turmeric. If you are using turmeric, you have to. It is a must. It is not an option. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You have to use fresh ground black pepper with it because turmeric has an active ingredient in it called curcumin, which our bodies do not readily absorb. It is extremely useful, it's extremely anti-inflammatory, but our bodies don't respond well to it. So it has to be taken up with a compound called piperine, which is found in black pepper. And when those two come together, it's easier for our bodies to absorb it. So if you've been doing your turmeric tea and all that other stuff, and you don't put a dash of black pepper in it, you've been wasting your time. Like you are going to see some benefit, but trust me, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for until you start adding that black pepper. So even when I was adding turmeric to my shakes, like I had like fruit and all this other stuff, and I put some turmeric in there, and I put black pepper in there. And so I had a slightly sweet and spicy shake, but I didn't put like a whole lot to make it like hot, but I could definitely tell like that stuff was in there, and it still tasted amazing. It was delicious. I would say that. Then my favorite part. So I'm one of those people who like to repurpose stuff, and I don't really like to like throw a lot of stuff away, especially if it's like still useful. So a lot of the stuff that I buy, especially when you buy stuff that's meant to be healthy, it tends to come in glass jars. Who knew? a big deciding factor on if this might be healthy for you or not is if it's still in a glass jar or not. So I had like fig preserves and different stuff like that. And and I keep the jars. And so when I was doing my cranberry sauces and cranberry paste and my apple sauces and apple butters and stuff like that, I had all these jars that I could just use because I already had like fig preserves or applesauce in them. And so I just made my own and put it in that same jar. And then also kombucha. I like I buy the little, they have the little bottles of kombucha, and then they had the big 48-ounce bottle, the big dark glass bottles of kombucha. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I got it and I drank it and I used it to make my ginger ale in it. Because with ginger ale, you need a tight, like sealed lid so that the ginger ale can ferment and you get that carbonation. It's like extra fizzy. So like store-bought ginger ale ain't have nothing on my ginger ale, baby. So I got that 48-ounce kombucha bottle, okay? So with that, like, I would just, and baby food jars, I was using that for like this serving sizes for my seeds, like in nuts and stuff that I would have for my snacks. Because it's very easy to overeat a handful of sunflower seeds, and you look up, you want your third or fourth handful of sunflower seeds. You have eaten the equivalent of a burger at that point. Because like seeds are really high in fat because they're meant to give life to a whole tree. So they have all the nutrients that sapling that little sprout would need, which is a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy for that, and you're eating that, so you have to keep that in mind. So yeah, they're good in moderation, and then they can turn into your enemy very quickly. And is that, yep, so that's it. So avoid the plastic if you can. It's better for our planet. And if you do get plastic, please recycle. We got a recycle bin now. Like, I'm excited. We got our house. So we got a recycle bin now. And we recycle all that we can now at this point. And then also, so I actually got this. I got this book at Five Below. You will be surprised at like the stuff you can find at Five Below. So I got this book at Five Below. And it actually has most of the recipes, I would say, are vegan or vegetarian. I think they're all vegan recipes though. But yeah, so they've got the recipes in here, and it's got like little like self-care tips and stuff like that based on the food, and then like it's sectioned based on what the the recipes are meant to do. So like you got the rebalance section. Let's see what the table of contents. Yeah, so here we go. See, restore, rebalance, reflect, renew, tender love and care. So that's $5. Go figure. So it's like I said, these books, the cookbooks and stuff, they're not expensive. If you're like, well, I'm not sure how to, what to make or how to make it healthy and stuff like that. Like, start with somebody else's recipe. Like, that's how I learned how to cook. Let me tell you, and this is the new accumulation of recipes. Because when I was in Chicago, if I can grab this stuff. I got so much stuff in here. All right, here we go. So I got, these are Blue Apron recipes. So I order, they send the recipe, they send you the food, and they tell you, they walk you through it step by step on how to make it. And so on top of that, like now they have a phone app. Because when I first got with them, they was fresh, baby. They didn't even package the food right when they was sent. I had boxes that was spoiling and all kind of stuff because they didn't even have ice bags in a box full of groceries. So it was a mess when they first started. They really got their act together now. They doing food preps. They have like the little TV dinner type meals where you can just pop it in the microwave. Like they really stepped it up. But I had like a giant stack. I had a video of myself holding up this big old stack of recipes. And that's how I learned how to cook, like how to cook different stuff. So I knew how to make 4 meats, 4 vegetables, 3 starchy sides. That was it. And I remixed and circled and cycled that thing around and around just to stay up out of somebody's fast food restaurant. And I lost 15 pounds doing that. So trust me, if I can do it, you can, because I'm all about convenience. I'm very lazy. Don't let none of this food. No, I'm lazy. Okay. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I'm one of them straight line people, like, okay. So I definitely took full advantage of like different tools and things. And then the more comfortable I got with using different ingredients, the more comfortable I got with trying different cooking techniques and all that stuff. And then after doing it, for so long, like over so much time, is now, second nature. So like a risotto is, easy for me. Or prepping a hash with different type of a hash, corned beef hash. People don't have hashes no more, but it's basically potato with something mixed in a pan with it. That's a hash. And so doing sweet potato hash, like spinach, that type of stuff. And so now it's like thinking outside of the box is not so outside of the box for me, if that makes sense. But it took time to get there, like a lot of time, a lot of tries, a lot of recipes, a lot of fails. Now, don't think everything that came out that kitchen was edible. We definitely had to throw some things away sometimes. And it just be like that. So be patient with yourself, be diligent, be curious, and be creative. Like, this is your body, this is your health, this is your medicine. Okay, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine. Leave that sugar alone. Leave that sugar. Look. See, Mary Poppins about to have you messed up. You was singing it too, weren't you? I know you was singing it. No, we leaving the sugar alone. All right. So I've been on here a long time, but I felt like we did need to get back to the basics, get our kitchen together. I'm gonna get my kitchen together. And I'll see y'all at the end of this month. So our next show, we're actually doing these bi-weekly now. So our next show will be on the 26th, I believe that is. Yes, the 26th. And that's another Sunday. I will be in Tennessee at that time for my cousin's birthday. So I will y'all probably see the cabin. I'll probably show y'all the cabin a little bit. And then I might, even if I don't walk y'all through how I cook what I cook, I'll probably show y'all the finished product. And then, we could draw a little bit about what's good to eat when you're partying, when you want to have fun and you want to enjoy yourself without thinking like, is this healthy for me? Like, yeah, it's mostly healthy. Like I said, sometimes, and sometimes you want to just eat the stuff that's not completely healthy, and that's fine. That is fine. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to walk around with rock hard. This is a week's worth of where them little cake things. You see. Yep, I got the wrapper still. I just had one too before I got on here. Yep, I did it. I'm telling on myself. Yes, and it was good too. It had like the little purple sprinkles and stuff on it. This the little Debbie. Yeah, I had a little Debbie cake. This is a week's worth of little Debbie cakes. I'm stressed out from moving. My 2-year-old won't let up on me. All right, so give me a break. But that's all I got for y'all today. If y'all have any questions, any comments, any topics that you want me to cover, like as far as food, as far as what's healthy, even some fun stuff. Like I said, it don't have to always be healthy. Like we eat. Okay, we like to live too. We like to enjoy some stuff too sometimes. So definitely shoot me recipes too if you want to see me cook something, or if you want me to tweak it for you for something, or whatever. Okay, I'm down for whatever. And we can definitely hang out here and rock truth. As always, look, I got all these buttons and stuff in the way. I'm trying to end the broadcast. Can't even end the broadcast because I got stuff in the way. As always and forever, rock truth or nothing at